Hi folks, here's another one of my occasional videos, construction videos, this time based around the Moebius 1/72 Space Clipper, or the Orion III from 2001. There's quite a lot of people building this currently online, and they're doing all various things to it. I just thought, rather than do a full build, I'd just point a few things out that, I've made some minor modifications, and also a few issues I've got with the kit. Feel free to take on board my ideas, or take on the task if you want to. What has struck me about this kit actually is it's not as complex as some of the other kits that they've done, and some of the design of it is very good, and some of it seems a little bit clunky to me. One thing I did notice with the instruction sheet is, it's the typical sort of instructions that you get with a Moebius kit, but when it comes to the painting instructions, they've gone for this sort of color spread here. You've got a very basic photograph from the movie, which doesn't really show you a lot of detail, and then you've got this illustration, which I've not got the other instructions to hand, but it looks very like the one that comes with the smaller model. And then this is a bit of a waste here because it's just an advert for other kits. Now, if you compare this to the one that comes with the Aries, you've got all this interior detail here, and showing you different options for painting and things like that, which is completely missing from this kit. Also, the decals aren't provided for any of the interior. You don't get a instrument panel which is visible through the cockpit window, which is a little bit disappointing, really, particularly given the cost of the kit as well. So I don't know why they've gone down that route. However, it is what it is. So in terms of what I've been doing with it so far, a few people have pointed out about the interior and the fact that the ceiling has the lights molded as solid. So what I've gone ahead and done, I know some people I've seen on Lou Dalmazo's video that he's got that 3D printer prop, which looks fantastic, but rather than go into the effort of getting the files and printing them up and everything else for something that I don't think you're going to see an awful lot of, I've basically just cut them out, and it is a lot easier than you might imagine. The way I've done this is I've actually ground off some of the styrene from the back of these three pieces here. Looks a bit rough on the back. It doesn't really matter because you're never going to see that. And I used a combination of one of these Dremel milling cutters to take a section of plastic out. You do have to be careful because obviously you don't want to go right through, but if you take it off in stages, and then I finished it off with a bobbin sander, and then finally just used a brand new X-Acto blade to just cut the sections out. And if you look at close up, they're all pretty even. They're well defined on the panel, so they're quite easy to follow the lines to cut those out. And as it is, I think it's only the center panels that are actually lit in the set. So the rest of them are just really, I suppose they could have been painted out really, but I've gone ahead and done it now, so they look fine. The other thing I've done is I've cut out the two viewing screens at the front there. Now I've got a set of decals coming from HDA, is it, or HDX? I think it's HDA, and I think they actually give you some screens to go in there. So I'll wait till they come before I sort of button this up, so I can light that. The base is just what it is with all the plinths for the seats, so nothing going on there really. The only other thing I've done is and again, you may not see this because it's very tiny, I've drilled a tiny little hole in the door control there on both doors, and I'll add a different coloured light in there just to add a little bit of interest, and you might be able to pick that up looking through the windows. But again, the view through the side windows is nowhere near as good as on the Aries, to be able to see anything inside anyway. So it's really just going to be a representation. The other thing I was a bit sort of dubious about on this kit is the some of this panel detail. Now, I don't know why they've gone for this really heavy detail. It kind of reminds me a bit of a Matchbox kit from the 1970s. The recessed panel lines are fine. However, these are just way too thick for me. I mean, if you scaled these up, if this is supposed to be 1/72nd, if you scaled these panels up, they'd be about 6 inches thick on the surface of the fuselage, and on the wings it's the same. Now, some detail I can't do much about. I mean, this door, I'd have thought that would have looked better, slightly recessed. Some of the detail I'm going to leave on, but I'm sure that on the studio miniature it wouldn't have been this prominent. Although you don't really see very much of it, only from a distance in the movie, so maybe it was, I don't know. So what I've started to do, I mean, I haven't touched this side yet, but on the other side, I've started, not finished yet here, but I've started sanding this off, and I'm going to replace it with very thin styrene in exactly the same place. So I'm going to sort of sand all this side off, and then use this side, which is like a mirror image in most respects, to re-detail it with styrene sheet, and then I'll do this side to match that side. There are a few little bits that are different, and I'm leaving them as they are, but the majority of it, I mean, these bits by the cockpit just look really, really off to me, to be honest. So I'm gonna take those off, and I've done exactly the same on the wing. I've sanded the detail off the wings. I've actually re-scribed the panel detail there, because some of the panels, some of the scribed lines are missing once you sand the detail. I've still got to do it to this one. I may actually just leave these as they are, because I think they look better just as flat panels. The same on the bottom of the wing. I've taken them off here. There was a bit here, and I've just reduced those. One thing I did notice as well, you may get it in your kit, is the end of this, I don't know what these are, sort of the elevator horns, I suppose you'd call them. The end of this was missing, possibly broken off in the bag, but I didn't find it in the bag. So I've had to replace that to match this one with a little bit of styrene on the end. I used a bit off the sprue actually, so just look out for that, because you may find that there's a couple of these missing, because this was sort of floating free in the box. It wasn't on a particular sprue. One more thing I have done, because I plan on putting some roof or sort of ceiling lighting in the in the cabin, obviously, and I noticed that when I test fitted the parts into here, there was actually one of these locating pins right in the center there. and I figured that it may impede on me lighting this, so I've just taken it out and on the opposite side as well, and I've just ground it back so it's just the inside of the fuselage now, and it just means that it's not going to get in the way of any lighting. I mean, overall, the kit, it's a nice kit, and especially when you see it sort of, I've had it test assembled together. It's a massive vehicle, but it's just a few little bits on it just seem a bit sloppy when you compare it to the effort they put into the Ares, which seemed to be, you know, they'd thought of everything really, but I couldn't really find fault with the Ares at all. This is almost like they've just scaled up the smaller one and thought, yeah, okay, that'll do. You know, I think this could have been a bit better. You know, it's the at this scale, unless you're going to go for something in resin, it's the only game in town anyway. So there it is. What is strange though that I've found is that on the tail section, this panel detail seems a lot more refined. Like somebody else designed the back end and somebody did the front end. I don't know why that would be. I'm not actually going to alter any of this because this actually looks within scale, but it's grossly overscale on the forward section. So I've no idea why that'd be. You know, maybe they did have two different teams working on the design of it. It's a thing you sometimes get with Revell kits, actually, that particularly their vehicle kits, the exterior tends to be of a different sort of quality to the interior parts. It's like they have two different teams working on different sprues at the same time. So but overall, I think it'll go together okay. It's minor refinements. It probably looked great just built straight from the box, but it doesn't suit me. So I'll be going with that. Lighting wise, I'm just going for the basic lighting in the passenger cabin. I don't think you're going to see an awful lot through those windows. I did toy with changing the windows, you know, putting acetate in. I may still do that, I don't know, to see what the view's like so it doesn't distort so much. And I'm also going with the cabin with, I'm going to print some figures off. I'll just have Floyd in his seat and the stewardess figure, and leave it at that. I noticed Lou went with a full passenger compartment, which looks fantastic. I'm happy with just the couple of figures. I'll print up a couple of pilot figures. It's been pointed out as well that the interior is more 1/100th scale roughly than the 1/72 of the exterior, and I think, you know, you won't really see much. You're going to be looking at the outside. The decals I've ordered also feature the Pan Am logos and writing on the side, which obviously doesn't come with the kit, which will solve that problem. The only other thing I may change is I do like the stand it comes with. The sort of, if I can reach it out of the box, the sort of Aurora style stand, it's a little bit impractical in terms for lighting, so I think I'm going to go with just a simple black base with a sort of brass rod carrying the wires up to it, so I can have it powered by a battery under the base. And maybe look for something I can print off for a plaque for the base as well. One other thing that's probably worth pointing out, in case somebody hasn't noticed, I've just recalled, is that there is a seam line running all the way along from the cockpit up to here, and it runs through to there. Then it becomes part of this recessed panel line, and then it reappears at the bottom end here and sort of creeps across there. It's very fine. It'll come off with just a rub from a little bit of sandpaper or a bit of steel wool or something. But it's a little bit like when they make the car bodies. You know, you get that seam along the top of the roof line, and that's what's come out there. I don't think it extends down to the nose, but there is also another seam just running along the bottom here as well. And again, it just needs to rub off. It's virtually invisible, but it will show up under the paint. So it just needs touching out. A bit of a scrape with a knife, maybe. I'll take that off. So I'll crack on with this, and I'll maybe post another video as it starts to go together, maybe with the cabin painted and the lighting done in this. But I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on this because I'm more interested in the look of the outside rather than the interior. But as usual, any comments or questions or anything, then just fire away, and I'll try to answer them. Okay, cheers.